So nice seeing you, Ted.
It's nice to see you. I'm sorry I'm not
there. Everybody's
there,
unhappy that you are not here. Dilijan is
nice
unhappy. Summit of Minds is unhappy. Even internet was not happy.
I know. Technology. What are we going to do about technology?
This is technology, and it happens to Google, huh? It doesn't happen to some company somewhere. So nice having you here. Thank you very much for your time. We are all going to miss you here, and we hope to see you soon. I mean, soon, between now and the next Summit of Minds in Armenia, first, and then definitely at the next Summit of Minds, which will be combined with Star Muse, with the star music, rock stars, classical stars, and astronomy. And I would love to see you then, in person.
I would love to make that. Yes, it sounds amazing. You've been speaking so highly of that.
And before that, I think it will be great if you can come just as a tourist, alone with friends or whoever you like. We'll be very happy to see you. We love you here. So Ted, I think because we have spent some time fighting technology, let's go to the point. I think we had these discussions before, but it's very important to hear from you. I think we go back some 20, 30 years back. I think when Google was starting, I mean, there were very little people thinking what Google can do. Is that another sort of Encyclopedia Britannica? You ask a question and Google answers you. So nobody really was grasping, I mean, the scale of the change. To be honest, I even doubt that the founders of Google, they knew what they were going to achieve, because the whole process is process in itself, and it's so quantum. You start a path, you don't know where you are going to end up. But this is where we have ended up. And then the question to you is, where do we go from here? Number one, what the world will look like in 20, 25 years' time. And the second, where do you think that Google will go? And what is the future of Google in 20, 25 years' time?
Yes. Well, thank you. And it's a great and it's an important question that a lot of us mere mortals, we don't spend enough time thinking about. So I want you to take a step back. Google itself is only about 23 years old. Only 23 years old. Think about this. The iPhone and cell phones as we know them today really only came out in about 2007. So think about how much the world has changed, how far we have come in just a very, very short amount of time. And even, the commercial internet as we know it really only became available to everybody in the early 1990s. So we're just getting started. And if you think about where technology is going, how quickly things change, how fast and how powerful computers become, how small they have gotten, and how inexpensive they have gotten, 25 years from now, I can't even begin to think about how many amazing discoveries we will find, how many cures for diseases, maybe cures for COVID-19, those sorts of things, how we'll be able to just have these discoveries because technology has gotten so incredible. Then, which I know is near and dear to your heart, the idea of quantum computing is very much underway. We're working on it. Lots of other great technology companies and research universities and governments are working on quantum computers. So when that starts to become widely available in 5, 10, 15 years from now, it's going to unlock a whole new universe of potential. And my big prediction is that when quantum computing and all of that starts to become commercially viable, available to us as individuals, space will very much start to have been inhabited by other people, whether it's SpaceX or others. We'll be putting people on Mars and et cetera. So the past 23, 25 years to me, and I know to you, have been incredibly exciting. but you've seen nothing yet. And that's the type of conversations that we like to have at the Summit of Minds, talking about the bigger picture, the bigger opportunities. Because if we think small, if we think short term, if we just try to close up and not expand, then we're not going to realize the full potential of the world.
And let's think big. And let's think big for a small country like Armenia. And it's easy to think big when you are China. It's easy to think big when you are America. But let's think big if you are Armenia. And let's think big if you were Armenian. Let's say if you were our president of Republic of Armenia, and you agree with Ted, who am I, for example, let's change our roles. And what is that that will excite you? What is that the vision that you will have for your country? That's a small country, but it's a global nation. How do you think big?
So Armenia, to me, and I've been so fortunate to get to know you and lots of your fellow country people and to visit. In many respects, Armenia is the perfect model for the future of governing and for the future of what it means to be a part of a country. And the diaspora you have around the globe obviously is bigger than the population in Armenia. It's almost as if you were ahead of the curve when it comes to working from home, distributed workforces, cloud computing, all of these things that in the end, maybe it doesn't matter where people are the bulk of the amount of time. You have your global community. They're all interconnected. And with computing technology today, here I'm in Massachusetts, you're in beautiful Dilijan, and as far as I know, we could be just a building away from each other. So I think connectivity is going to make it so much easier for Armenia to thrive in the future. And so the opportunity now is to connect with the brilliant minds that have moved all over the world, whether it's Paris or Dubai or Los Angeles, and connecting with those entrepreneurs, connecting with those business leaders, connecting with the talented artists, and so on and so forth, and making sure that they continue that connection to Armenia alive. And so whether they're in country or not, it's almost inconsequential. And you also have a great infrastructure that is being built within your borders today that makes a great hub for people to be able to come and to live, to work, to raise a family, to visit. You have so much to offer that, to me, it's like you have the perfect model that will only continue to grow upon itself.
Well, thank you very much. You're very kind. And I think you were very kind as an Armenian, basically presenting how we can think big in Armenia. The fact that you are Armenians, a smart girl or a boy, have started a startup in Armenia, but you are a bit far from big industrial centers like Silicon Valley or California or Massachusetts or Europe or Moscow. Does it matter today or not?
So what we have...
Do we have to sort of find a solution, taking our startups closer to the big industries and venture capital, or do the other way around, bringing them closer to us, like inviting Google to start an operation in Armenia, while doing that, basically discovering Armenia, the talent there, the startup. What do you think, Ted?
So I actually think you can do both. And what we have found over the past year and a half is that people had this opportunity to, some people, obviously not everybody, but some people working at home, they were impacted. There's health, there's finances, there's lockdown, there's all sorts of crazy things that the entire world felt all at the same time. And if you think about it, that's the first time really that the entire globe has been impacted by one thing that impacted everybody. And it gave people time to think. And it gave businesses time to think about, where is our talent and where does our talent want to live? And it's not always going to be Silicon Valley. It's not always going to be Paris, or Boston for that matter, for healthcare. And so we found that people want to live where they are most comfortable, maybe close to family, maybe close to nature, maybe lower cost of living, whatever. So we think there are smart people everywhere, and we want to make sure that we're able to, first and foremost, bring to bear the smartest minds to help solve some of the world's biggest problems. You, I think, want to do the same thing. You want to connect the smartest minds to the biggest opportunities for Armenia and beyond. And whether those people live locally or around the globe, today doesn't matter. The important thing is that you're building community, that you're making them feel welcome, that you're making them feel like they're a part of something special. And what we have found, and I know you know this, is that smart people want to solve big problems. So what are the biggest opportunities? What are the biggest goals that Armenia as a country has in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And let's start to put together groups of people to start to work on that. And then some of the more day-to-day type things will start to work out, themselves as well. But we believe that there's talent everywhere. And so we just want to make sure that we're plugging into the talent. Now, I also know that from an economic perspective, it's important for a country like Armenia to have growth industries within the country. And you have a lot of great startups in the startup ecosystem there, lots of smart people working on that. And then obviously more traditional existing industry. And so figuring out how do we have what I think makes sense is having one central player, be it government or private or some other NGO, making those connections between existing large businesses and government, universities, startups, financiers, so on and so forth, so that they're all interacting, they're all connecting, they're all running into each other, maybe in a central incubator type location or a chamber of commerce type location, whatever. Doesn't make that big of a difference. But making sure that there are people connecting all of these different groups. And are there problems that the startups can solve? Are there things that big existing industry can learn from young startups today who know no bounds? So what can we do to help each other? What can we do to leverage each other's skill sets? And then I think businesses and economic growth and jobs will start to bloom out of that.
I agree with you, and I think probably in the case of Armenia, because there's a lot of talent and enthusiasm, not only in Armenia, but also outside Armenian diaspora, I think there will be probably several attempts. There's one attempt that I have initiated as a president, which is called ATOM, Advance Tomorrow, and I presented that to you as well. I think the idea is to bring partnership between big multinational or hedge funds with the local content. I mean, creating joint ventures when instead of creating our one or two of our ideas, we just merge with you. We take one of your big ideas, the problems, that try to resolve that together by bringing our financial contribution, our talent, using young boys and girls that can resolve the issue. In the meantime, basically creating for you a pool of young people, for you in this for this moment, I mean Google, but also helping our younger generation to be educated. The moment they work with Google guys on a specific big project, let's say a year or 2 or 3, then on the third, fourth, fifth, they maybe will come up with their own ideas, and they'll know how does it work. They will know what is the highest international level, which is in this case the level of Google. So partnering Google in this or that form, and I think the choice of a project should be from Google's side rather than from my side. And I've seen that before because there were a couple of experiments that we did in the same form, working with French and German companies, I mean the big names of the French. And they were very successful. What happened, there was a project that was said, okay, this is a project, can you resolve that? A very big, huge French company. Then what happened, the local guys got 1 or 2 guys from America of Armenian origin that knew more or less close to it. They came to Armenia. They basically found younger talent in the university, other places, created a company, and that company was around 60, 70 people. I don't want to give names. And that company resolved the issue for this French company. And the issue that resolved was a very complex one for a satellite. So you can do that. But the good thing is that you work with a top class of international research and development. And that's why I think a partnership in the framework of Atom between, let's say, Atom Foundation and Google is utmost important for me. It will be important for Armenia, and I hope that will be beneficiary for Google as well.
And I think that that is a great way to think about it. And even beyond a company like Google, partnering with other industries, partnering with other great universities around the world, having conversations about how can we get our young, smart people to go and even simple things like exchange programs, I think are great opportunities to learn from each other, to share information and best practices, and then taking that as they expand out of university into the workforce, et cetera, they have those connections and those ties to Armenia. So I think I personally am a big fan of any kind of partnership, any kind of content development like that, because simply, why not?
Exactly. And there's also one small additional thing related to that. When you bring young people in touch with a company like Google, Thales, Dassault, Siemens, or big companies that Atom is targeting, there's one extra thing that is important for a young, talented person, and that's confidence. I do remember when I was very young Soviet scientist, I became much more confident in what was I doing when I moved from Yerevan. I went to Moscow State University, met some people, and later when I went to Cambridge University, I had the chance of meeting Nobel Prize winners. And confidence is important, because otherwise you think that you are doing something and you are out of this real world and there are others who are doing much better than you. So it's not only learning and it's not only being a part, it's not only networking, but also building up the confidence of a young talent.
I love that. Yes.
Ted, thank you very much. Wonderful to see you again. I'm hoping to see you soon. And I'm going to do utmost to engage you in our Atom project, bringing and creating young talent in Armenia. Thank you, Ted.